I've gotten the question, what works better, putting soda in your paint or putting salt wash in your paint? Well, I did a little experiment and I'm going to show you right now. We're going to start out with just a really simple project. I have these two signs from Dollar Tree and they have all that glittery mess on them, and I just popped off all the little extra little embellishments, and I take the strings off, and I'm going to use this Skeleton Key by DIY paint. The first one I'm going to use baking soda. Now I'm just mixing equal parts paint and baking soda the same way that I do the salt wash, so that it's equal comparison and getting the same consistency, I should say. Sometimes it takes more soda to get the same consistency that it takes to get the same consistency with the salt wash. I think you understand what I'm trying to say. Okay, so the soda is going on pretty good. You can see a little bit of texture there. It does not go as far as the salt wash. I will tell you that before I ever even use the salt wash. I have only used soda in my paint one time before, and I didn't get a very good outcome, so I never really used it again. But I'm going to cover this entire sign with this little stippling technique in hopes that it would cover all that glittery mess. Okay, so here we go with the salt wash. I'm not going to show you how I mix it up every single time because it will be very redundant. So I'm going to see, you can see how it just goes on a little thicker. Oop, get my hair out of there. And it is much creamier and smoother. Even though you get texture, it's just a creamier, thicker, buttery, smoother, easier to apply. It goes a lot faster, and you can see that there is a little more texture. And when it dries down, it will hold its texture better. Okay, here's the soda. You can still see the writing through there really good. Now here, oh, my text didn't come through. You can still see it a tiny bit, but only because the light is shining on it. Inside, you could not see it. Okay, now here we go with just a regular piece of pine wood. And I usually in this video start out with the soda first. So this is going to be with the Prom Queen by DIY. And now here we go with the salt wash. I'm just showing you the difference in how it looks as I apply it. Maybe I'm going to mix the salt wash this time and show you how I mix it. So it doesn't take quite as much salt wash to get the same consistency as it does soda. So you're going to use a little more soda. And the soda is a lot cheaper, yes, but I'm telling you, the results to me, the technique and the results, I prefer the salt wash. But I'm trying to be unbiased in this video to show you the differences. Okay, salt wash on this piece of wood, on this board. These are just pieces that I had in my stash, scraps out in the shop. Okay, you can already see more texture. It's smooth, and it is sped up because it would take forever for you to watch me paint all of this different things in this video. So we're going to go. See all that nice texture? So I did the front, the sides. I do not do the back. On the back of my projects with salt wash, I usually just do a solid color paint without any additive. But you can see how you can get all this nice texture, and when the salt wash dries down, all of that texture is going to remain. Okay, here are both of them. I'm doing white chalk paint, no additive, and I'm going to do a messy coat. I don't even care if I'm getting full coverage. I'll put full coverage a little bit in some places and then not in others, so that when we go to sand it, you get more of that worn, chippy look. And I do the sides, and I just dry brush the back a little bit on some of it. We don't really see the back of our projects much, but I do like to finish them off. Okay, here is the salt wash. You can see way more texture as it dried down. And I'm going to use my heat gun and dry it because I'm very impatient. But if you like the crackling, then put it really high heat to it. Okay, now this is crinoline by DIY. I wanted to add just a little bit of warmth to it, so I'm just barely going to brush a little bit. I'm not dry brushing, but I'm just scatter brushing. Can we say that? Just scatter brush it. And so I'm doing both pieces, trying to get them about the same amount of paint so we can compare apples to apples here. Now I'm going to tell you that both of these pieces turn out good. There's just a difference. Now I'm going to take it outside, and I'm going to do this in real time. Okay, here's the soda, the board with the soda. So you can still see some texture in there. And then I'm believing, excuse me, I believe this is 220 grit on my orbital sander, and I'm not applying a lot of pressure. And you can see that this sands off really quickly, and I'm losing a lot of my texture. And it's going through all of that paint very quickly, right down to the board. I really didn't want to sand all the way to the board, but it's also not very thick. You can't really see that really good in the camera. Okay, here's the salt wash board. I'm going to use the exact same technique, same amount of pressure, and you can see some of that chippiness flying off. But I'm trying to really press down, and I had to press really hard to get down to the wood on that, because that is just some thick texture on there. And you can see that that paint is a lot thicker, and that you just have more texture. There, I'm doing a side-by-side comparison of how, and maybe that's the look you like. Maybe it depends on what look you're going for. But this is how they turned out. And they both feel fairly smooth to the touch. There's a little bit of roughness. Okay, so this is how I decided to finish these out. I'm going to use my IOD stamps that I get from Two Chicks Home and Market. You can go to their website, twochickshomeandmarket.com. It's in my description box. I'm going to use my IOD stamp and just stamp it on there very carefully. If I get any on the edges, I just take a baby wipe and wipe it off. I store my IOD stamp upside down. Elsie at Two Chicks Home and Market gave me that little tip. I did not know that. It keeps the ink on the forefront of your ink pad. Now I'm just going to kind of hover that till I get it where I want it, and then I'm just going to press down. Press down firmly, not moving it, otherwise it'll smear. And then I'm just going to lift it up, and you're going to see incredible detail with these stamps. I absolutely love them. I cannot wait to add more to my collection. They are a bit of an investment. We're going to take really good care of it. I have a really wet wipe here, and I don't have my sink repaired from the freeze. I know it's been a while, but it's just taken me some time to get it fixed. So I'm using that really good wet wipe to clean that off, and it worked good. Now on the second one, I'm going to use this stamp. It is part of that same collection, the La Campagne. I'm not even sure I'm saying that right, but that's how everybody else is saying it. So that's how I'm going to say it. And I put that piece of plastic over the bottom because I don't want that part inked. And there I'm cleaning up my little mess. And I'm going to stamp that on one end. I'm going to actually use this stamp twice. Okay, so I'm trying to figure out where I want to put it. There we go. We're going to stamp it right there. Pressing down firmly, trying not to move it so it doesn't smear. And look how gorgeous that is with all that detail. It's so crisp, and I'm using the black ink. Obviously, it's black. And then I'm trying to decide where I want to put that. I think I'll just put it right there. And then I'm going to fill in some of those holes just with the extra leaves. Okay, I'm just going to stamp that a little more in case it dried out too much. And put it up there. Ta-da! I think they look great. Now I'm trying to decide what I want to put on the end with this steer. And I wanted to do the burlap, but I couldn't figure out exactly how I wanted to do it. So I really like this open weave one a little better, but that was too thick. So I cut it down, cut it long ways, and made it a little more narrow. And then you see that cloth ribbon, that soft lace ribbon. I don't know what you call that. If you have a good word to describe that ribbon, leave me a comment and let me know, because I never know what to call it. But we're going to put it on here. No, I wanted to put it on here, but I don't think I ended up putting it on here. That ribbon. Okay, and then there's this skinnier one that they have at Dollar Tree as well. And I love them both. They're so my vibe. I love some shabby chic, and to me, that just screams shabby chic. But I do like a little bit of burlap and a little bit of rustic with it. Now, this little ribbon wasn't quite wide enough, so I'm just going to put one, put them side by side. I'm just going to glue it on the front a tiny bit so it doesn't go anywhere when I flip it over and glue it to the back. So I flipped it over, glued it to the back, and I'm not going to show that on camera because this video is going to be way too long. And then I'm just wrapping some of that twine that you get in the automotive section at Dollar Tree around a few times in the center, and I just think this turned out really cute. Then I'm going to flip it over, put a simple little twine bow on, and it is finished. Now the second one, I used that cloth lace ribbon, and I have this sheer peach color ribbon. All of this ribbon is from Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to glue it down, and then I made a bow out of that sheer ribbon, just a simple little bow, and I'm going to put it this way, that way, no, this way, this way. So you can stand it up long or short ways. And I'm going to glue down that little tail because it didn't want to stay where I wanted it. Okay, here is the final reveal of these two pieces. So let me know what you think. Would you prefer the soda, the salt wash? Can you tell a big difference in the pictures? What do you think about these pieces? Okay, next I'm going to do it on some glass. So these vases were from a garage sale, and I'm going to do the exact same paints, and I'm going to custom mix a color using layered chocolate and crinoline, because the layered chocolate was a little too dark for my taste for the base coat. So here's the soda. I wrote the name on the little plastic cup so I wouldn't forget what I was doing. I'm going to go back and forth with the vases in this, so don't get confused. That's why it's nice that they're different shapes. Okay, I'm not sure why I'm going so slow with this or why I'm showing you this again, because it's just mixing soda in the paint. But it's about the consistency. You know, get it the consistency. You can mix it thicker, but then it's, to me, the soda, when you mix it thicker, it is harder to apply and it chips off worse when it's thicker, to me. I don't know. Let me know what your experience has been if you've used it. It slid around on this vase pretty good. It was pretty hard for me to keep it from sliding around. The salt wash slid around a little bit too, but not as bad as the soda. And I kept getting hairs off my paintbrush. Okay, here we go with the salt wash. It looks like this might be a little darker. I didn't mix it quite as light. It's okay. And if you get too much salt wash or soda, you can always add more paint in, or I have a water bottle handy. I'll spritz a little water in it. Okay, you can see how this is just creamier, but you're still going to get the texture. It's so much easier to work with, in my opinion. I do not sell salt wash. I get my salt wash from Sammy over at Unicorn Dust Designs, unicorndustdesigns.com. You can buy your DIY paints there. You can buy your salt wash there. I highly recommend. She is very fun. If you haven't checked out her channel, go check out her channel and support her. She is my friend, and we are also colleagues on YouTube, if you want to call us colleagues. Okay, Waverly chalk paint in Fawn. I mixed soda in this. This is our vase with soda. So mix this with baking soda, and I'm just going to randomly blob these colors kind of all over. We're just trying to go for some texture, some color, some aged, some, I don't know what we're going for here. I've seen other creators do this. David Owens creates. He does this amazing. He's really good at this. So if you want to check out his channel to find out how to really do this really good, he does it really good. I'm just doing it all willy-nilly, and they turn out good in the end. But he has it going on when with this technique. So the last color that I did, the darker color, I did not put any additive. I'm trying to chip this paint off with my nail, and I cannot chip it off. This is completely dry. This is completely dry, and I can chip the paint off pretty easy. I'm trying to do it in a more non-conspicuous place, and it chips off super easy. The soda chips off really easy. The salt wash does not. So here's the final reveal of my pots. And yeah, I mean, you decide. Which do you like? Okay, more scrap wood. These are 2x4s. And here's the one with the baking soda. I'm using Aged Gray by, is this Rust-Oleum? Chalk paint, yes. This has soda in it. Same thing, you can see I'm getting a little texture in there. Looks good. When it dries down, we lose some of that texture. Salt wash on this one, and I did write on the back of them so that I wouldn't forget, or so that I could tell for sure. Okay, mix that up, and it just slap it on with that chippy brush. And now, if you don't want all those tall peaks, they suggest that you go back over it, like at this, once it's almost dry, with a damp brush and kind of knock those peaks down a little bit. I kind of like that thick chippiness, and if you get it thick like those places I'm pointing out, it can crack a little bit, which adds to the rustic. Okay, this is Night Sky by Waverly, and I have added the soda in on the second coat. Now, on the first pieces I did, the lighter blue, I did not add a second coat with additive. So this one's a little bit different technique. Okay, so remember, if you want to purchase some DIY paints or some salt wash, Sammy's channel will be linked below. All you have to do is click on it and go over there and shop. Okay. This is some amazing texture, guys. Look at that. I would love to just leave it like that and not even sand it. Okay, here they are. The darker one is the soda. I'm not sure why it's darker, but it's darker. You have to excuse my voice today. I have a little bit of a sinus something going on. Okay, this is a custom mix. Doesn't that sound fancy? A custom mix paint that I used white chalk paint, and I put a little bit of crinoline in there because I didn't want it so crisp white. So I'm just giving it that messy coat, and I'm giving them both the exact same thing. Both pieces got this white. It's kind of a, I'll call it a dirty white, an off-white, an aged white. Aged white. Oh, that's a good name, right? Aged white. Okay, now I'm going to try, this is the one with the soda. I'm going to try using that sanding block from Dollar Tree that's a medium, I think it's medium coarse, I want to say. And this is what I ended up with, which I should have just stopped here because I love how that looks. The one on top was the salt wash. So this is pretty sure this is the salt wash one. Maybe. I can't even remember, guys. But I'm using the same amount of pressure and the same grit of sandpaper on both of them. It's so much easier with this orbital sander than it is that little sanding block because the paint is so thick on there, and just to get that look you want. Now, I, again, wish I hadn't sanded down to the bare wood unless it's like rustic wood. But I have a little trick here. So I'm waxing it with DIY clear wax, which is an amazing wax. I'm putting it on the back of my hand because when I get done, then I just use it like lotion because it's all natural ingredients and it's smooth and creamy and oily. Okay, I did both pieces with that wax, by the way. Now, I am going to use my Birdsong molds by IOD, and I'm used the amazing resin that cures in 10 minutes, and I mixed it, the A and B, equal parts together, and then just pouring it in the molds. Now, I get my IOD molds, all my IOD stuff from Elsie at Two Chicks Home and Market. And again, you can go to her website linked in the description box below, and there will be a link down there for you, if you're a first-time customer, to get 10% off. So be sure and go and use that link so you can get a discount. And I think this may be either discontinued or hard to find from what I'm hearing, but last I checked, she still had this in stock. So rush over there and grab you one because these birds are beautiful. Now I'm stippling on some yellow chalk paint because this was the only yellow that I had in my stash. So I will be needing to go and get some yellow DIY. No, I ordered yellow DIY paint. It just isn't here yet, but it should be on its way soon. Okay, back to the my wood pieces. So now I'm going to take the dark DIY wax. I did the clear first because I didn't want the dark to soak in as quickly. And so I put the dark on there to make it look like not raw wood under there. Does that make sense? Now I didn't get on camera that I waxed these. I did the dark wax first and then wiped it off. I stippled it on and then wiped it back. And then I did the white wax. Same thing, stippled it on, wiped it back. And I think these birds turned out really pretty. But I just didn't like how they laid on this piece. So here I am with that cloth ribbon again. Fabric ribbon, cloth ribbon. Lace, cloth, lace, ribbon. What do we call them this, guys? Tell me. Tell me what to call it. Okay, so I have one little birdie following Mama and then one little rebellious bird flying the opposite way. Well, that's just how they were in the molds, so I didn't really have much choice. But I'm telling a story with this little piece of art. And I think this just turned out really pretty. That little ribbon just made all the difference. Okay, here's the other piece. Now, I have this stamp from IOD. It's called Kindest Regards. And I think it's kind of hard to find right now. I'm hearing everybody say they can't get it. It's out of stock. But I do know that Elsie has some of these in stock. So if you're looking for this, go to her website and order it up. I'm going to figure out exactly where I need it to be. I don't want to stamp any extra that I don't need. Waste ink, make a mess, because I'm really good at making messes. You can see that I got some ink on the background. I don't know that that would be a problem, but I don't want it to be a problem because I'm clumsy enough without any help. I'm going to hover it till I see where I want it, and then I'm just going to mash down. I didn't really think about that I had already waxed this until I put it on there right now, and then I was like, oh man, but it worked out good. It smeared a little bit in one place, but I think it just adds to the rusticness. Okay, I have these little antique keys. I'll have them linked in the description box below. I got them on Amazon. And then this little keyhole that I made in a previous video from some molds that I ordered off Amazon, and I think they're in my description box too. I'll try to be sure to remember to link those. So I did some dark wax, stippled it on, same as I did with the birds, stippled it on, wiped it back. Then I decided to get out my gilding wax. I don't use this very often, but I can link that. I believe I got that on Amazon. And then that little heart I just cut out of some scrapbook paper and put it on a piece of cardboard. I didn't film that. I thought I did, but I guess I didn't. Now, I have a little piece of embroidery floss, or thread, whatever you want to call it. I'm old school, so it's floss. And then I'm just going to wrap those around a couple times and tie it off in a knot, kind of toward the top. And then I'm going to use a piece of that embroidery thread and I want those tails to hang down, so that's why I used my scissors to push it up like that. Let me find the end. Oh, that's a hot mess. And then I'm going to twist that in. I got my fingers a little bit wet to twist it good. And then I'm going to put both of those little charms on that thread, and then I'm going to tie that thread right up around that knot. And this turns out so cute. This may be my favorite piece I made today. I don't know, I kind of like the one with the floral stamp too. And then I'm trying to decide if I want these. I did glue that little piece down so it wouldn't slide down. I don't know if I got that on camera or not. I did not. Okay, here's the bird song with the Audi molds. And the little antique key. Love this. I love this with my little antique books. That dictionary is probably about 4 years old. Was my grandmother's. Thank you guys for watching, and remember to be still and know that He is God.